Hello everyone, this is part 34 of What If Naruto Was Exiled After He Brought Sasuke Back, and I hope you guys enjoy this video and to like, to subscribe, to share, and check out the playlist, to see more comment down below. Now let's start the intro.
They call me a god. They call me a god. They call me a god.
Join my membership, the perks are great. It's in the description. Be sure to like and subscribe, it gives me more motivation. Enjoy. Namika's estate. Tsunade groaned as her bed bounced and she cracked her eye open to see a blonde and red head. Come on Bar-chan. Naruto yelled. We've got a real mission today. Mikahamaru said as loud as his brother. Tsunade groaned and rolled over, pulling the blanket over her head. Too early, she growled. Go back to bed, she said. But we have a lot to do, Mika said to his godmother. Tsunade felt the blanket pulled and her eye landed on the clock and she growled. It's 4 in the morning. The twins smiled and leapt back. But Bar-chan, we have 3 hours to prepare. Tsunade grabbed her blanket and rolled back over. She heard the door open. Boys, she heard Shizune say with a hint of exasperation. Let's go to the kitchen. Let Tsunade get her beauty sleep. Thank you Shizune, Tsunade thought. But then she heard Naruto's question. But Bar-chan's too old for that to work. I'm going to make your life hell. Tsunade thought of the blonde. It's Jiraiya's fault. I knew leaving Naruto with him too much would affect him. Next time I see Jiraiya he's getting a salt enema. XX. Elsewhere. Jiraiya sneezed then shivered in his sleep. Obito, who had last watched before they traveled, wondered what would cause that reaction, and he knew for some reason a certain pair of twins were the cause of it. XX. Namika's estate. Kushina sat sipping her tea as Tsunade came down at 6. She gave the older woman a smirk. A bit excited to be on their first C rank, she teased. Tsunade shot her a look and accepted the coffee from Shizune. You have to admit, D ranks are a waste of resources that academy students could do. Kushina nodded. The civilians were protesting the changes and she was wondering if they could get away with another purge of the stupid. Tsunade made sounds as she tried to wake up with the aid of coffee. The 3 women could hear the twins. Where are they? Tsunade asked. In the dojo. I have them sorting weapons, Kushina said with a smirk. Those 2 were armed with enough weapons as if they were heading to war. Tsunade stood and went to see what half her team was up to. She found them standing nose to nose. And I'm telling you that you can never have enough explosive tags, Naruto said. We're on a simple escort mission. Bar-chan said that. Mika countered. You always quote Bar-chan. Naruto cut off his twin. She's usually right. She may suck gambling, but as a ninja, a medic and our teacher she's done right. Mika countered. Naruto backed off. It's just Kakashi and Uncle O both said that things can go wrong once we're out of the gate. I don't want to be caught with less than we need. Mika sighed and gestured towards his scroll. Tsunade from the doorway was impressed with the amount of medical gear her godson was taking. I know what you mean. I worry that we could end up like some of the teams Uncle Kakashi told us about. Or Ero Sanon's, Naruto said. They both recalled the story Jiraiya had told them of the one team he took after their fathers, how the whole team had been wiped out in mist. Tsunade closed her eyes as she remembered that, as well as the day she lost Dan, and then soon after she lost her little brother. Shaking her head she looked on as the twins compromised. Pack the medical stuff, we heal quickly, Naruto said. But the others don't. Mika agreed. They sealed away kunai, shuriken and Tsunade watched as they sealed up 100 exploding tags. Well, it's a 900 less than the amount Naruto was going to bring, Tsunade thought. She then watched as they each armed themselves with 24 shuriken, a dozen kunai, and Mika grabbed his zip staff while Naruto put the Anbu-style sword Kakashi got him across his back. Ready, Mika sighed as he nodded. We just need to grab rations and... Naruto groaned. Forgot the camp gear. Tsunade stepped away, a smile on her face as she returned to the kitchen. Well, Kushina asked. They're doing fine, Tsunade said, remembering her own early days and first time out of the village missions. Mom. Twin shouts echoed from the other end of the house. Where's the mission bags? Naruto yelled. Kushina smiled and went to show them where they were kept. Rin entered the kitchen half asleep. Shizune looked at her and grinned. First C rank, she said, answering the unasked question. I'm surprised you didn't hear them wake Lady Sunid up. Rin shook her head. I had my radio playing and my room was soundproofed. Sunid looked at her. Then how can you? I leave the door open a lot. Rin answered. XX. Hokage's office. Team 7 stood at the back while Sunid collected the scroll. Team 7 is ready for RC rank mission, she said, taking the scroll. Very well, Hiruzen said. He pushed the buzzer. Send him in. The waiting room door opened and an old man wearing a wicker hat entered with a sake jug in his hand. Sunid, this is the client. Tazuna from Wave. He's our architect. His current project is building a bridge to connect Wave to the mainland. Sunid nodded and the man belched and looked at her team. These 4 little snots, Tazuna said. Sunid narrowed her eyes and the man looked her up and down. And, his gaze stopped on her chest and she felt her knuckles popping as she clenched her hand. Hiruzen stood. I assure you Tazuna-san that Team 7 is a very scared team. And Sunid is one of the legendary 3, as well as the team's second sensei. He looked around and then at Sunid. Where's Anko? XX. Mitarashi Yuhi apartment. Kurenai opened the door and blinked, seeing Sunid standing there. Behind her was Team 7 and the client. Wait here. Sunid growled and walked into the apartment with a mornin' greeting to Kurenai, who was in a robe. The red-eyed Jonin blinked and looked at the 4 genin. C rank mission. Mika said at her look as she noticed they were dressed for travel. Anko sensei's late. Naruto said. A loud thump followed by Sunid stepped out of the room with a smirk. She looked at Kurenai. Sorry about the mess. Before Kurenai could ask, a soaked Anko was putting on her trench and her sopping wet hair was in a very messy tail. Anko grabbed her pack, which was by the door. Later, Nai-chan. The bed's soaked. She kissed the red-eyed woman's cheek, still half asleep, and was out the door, pulling it closed behind her. Kurenai blinked several times, shook her head and headed back to bed, stopping at the small lake that was in the room. Sunid is paying for this when she gets back, Kurenai said, using several jutsus to get rid of the water, and grabbed the clothes on the floor to throw in the dryer. So much for sleeping in, she muttered, knowing the bed would need to be put out and the rest of the room thoroughly cleaned and dried. Make sure Anko's things are out of sight and hire a genin team to do it, she thought, also remembering to remove the toys and the handcuffs from the nightstand before going to pay for a mission. XX. On the road, Anko walked with hunched shoulder and was grumbling about annoying blondes. Hinata and Sakura were in formation behind her, flanking Tazuna, while Naruto and Mika were several paces behind them, and then Sunid bringing up the rear. She was there for several reasons. To watch over her students. To watch the client and the road ahead at the same time. To keep distance between her and Anko until the jonin calmed down and dried off. To avoid the client staring at her chest and her pummeling him as if he was Jiraiya. Which would K the client and they wouldn't get paid and her team would probably revolt on her. Sunid liked to think her strategy was sound. It also gave her time to think and ignore the whining of the client about the pace they were setting, which in itself was slower than hell. Kami, any slower and we'll only make 6 miles before nightfall. Sunid thought at how pathetic that was. She heard Sakura asking Tazuna about Wave and how come they didn't have ninja. Not every village or nation has the resources for maintaining a ninja force, Sakura. Sunid answered before Tazuna could speak any more. The man used the words, super, and, bestest, waiter often for Sunid's liking, and she knew the client lied. He was far too nervous and she saw he was drinking far too much. Hold up, she called and Team 7 stopped. Sunid strode forward and took the sake jug away. Hey, Tazuna yelled in protest. Shut up. You want us to protect you and get you home, you'll need to lay off this. And you'll need to walk a bit faster, we're taking too long. Tazuna blanched. I can't, Sunid crushed the jug and looked at the boys. You heard him. He can't move faster. Mika smirked as he heard his godmother. They did this to Jiraiya when he was out drinking too much, and with a look to Naruto, who nodded, they grabbed Tazuna between them, lifted his leg up with their arms and had his arms around their shoulders. Double time, Sunid said. Finally, Anko said as she and the others took to the trees. Now we'll put some distance into this journey, Sunid thought. Between Konoha and Wave, with taking to the trees instead of taking the road, they cut miles off their journey. If we'd stuck to the road we wouldn't be this far until maybe the day after next. Tsunade thought as she smirked as the bridge builder finally stopped complaining about being carried. Sakura and Hinata were behind Anko and they were keeping their eyes open. Anko held up a hand and they landed on a large branch. What is it? Two figures coming from the road. They're moving fast. Tsunade nodded. We'll rest here. Anko, Mika and Naruto will scout it out. Hinata, Sakura, set up a small rest area for the client. Keep your eyes open, Hinata. The Hyuga nodded and the two went to work. Tsunade looked at the client and how he got very nervous when Anko mentioned someone was coming from the road. I think it's time that you tell the truth, Tazuna-san. She said, putting her hands on her hips. XX. The trap Anko set was perfect as the two nin ran right into it. The snakes impaled them with their fangs. The poison dropping them. Are they S? Mika asked. No, but the poison won't let them go anywhere until I give them the antidote. She looked at the two men. Man, we caught the demon brothers this easily, that's just weak. I think they were given the wrong rank in the bingo book. Naruto went around and looked. Are they supposed to be drooling? Yes. Go get Tsunade. Mika, if you would run some tests after I S them down. The redhead nodded and he watched as Anko worked quickly slicing their clothes off them. With a clinical eye his godmother taught him, he watched as Anko stacked the weapons. Those are covered with poison, be careful. Mika nodded and only turned when Tsunade appeared. I left Naruto waiting with the client and the girls. What do we have? The demon brothers, low C rank missing nin. I was going to start the interrogation. Tsunade looked at Mika and sighed. Very well. Come with me, brat, Anko said, grabbing the ankle of the first subject. With your medical training this will go so much easier. Tsunade watched her godson go and knew that it was at this very moment that he lost whatever innocence he had with the interrogation he was about to take part in. XX. Mika returned nearly an hour later looking pale. Anko returned a couple minutes later. Mika had yet to say a word despite the other genin trying to get him to talk. We've got a problem, Anko said, looking right at Tazuna. Client lied. Tsunade looked at her. How bad? Very. Seems his country has been under the control by a low-level crime lord named Gato. How low-level? Tsunade asked. Anko shrugged. He's got a sheet with the black ops, but not worth hunting in. Tsunade looked at Tazuna. Please, my people, you lied. If you would have stated the true purpose, arrangements could be made. She looked at Mika and her eyes softened. This isn't a mission for genin, no matter how scared. But he's king people. Bar-chan. Mika spoke up before she could tell the client a new one with her thoughts on his suffering. Those two, they had orders to kill him and leave him in a ditch. Tazuna paled even more. They said that their reward was going to his daughter. Tsunade looked at Mika. We can't do this mission. As scared as you all are, this is an Anbu mission from the sounds of it. Mika looked ill as he looked back the way he and Anko had come from. Tsunade led Anko several feet away, ignoring Tazuna's wailing about his poor daughter and grandson. Suggestions. Anko sighed. We've been made, that means there are more out there looking for him. By rights we could cut him loose and make for Konoha. I'm sure there are more dangerous nin waiting now. The snake Sanin said. And did I mention I hate leaving a mission incomplete? Tsunade looked back. What did he see? All of it. Everything I do in interrogation, he saw up close. I'm sorry, got carried away while I work. Tsunade sighed and saw how her godson seemed to shrink from Sakura when she moved too quickly. I'll have to speak with him. She started to walk back. Lady Tsunade. She turned to look at Anko. He did a great job. I'd swear he was a natural, he kept it together until we got all we could from him, and he ended one of their lives quickly with a chakra scalpel. Tsunade nodded and walked back towards the genin. Crap on a pogo stick. This keeps going from bad to worse. It seems we've hit a snag, she said, taking a seat and glaring at Tazuna. Anko and Mika uncovered information that there are more teams out there. And they might be more sly than the demon brothers. She sighed as Mika looked up. She saw his eyes. What this means is we can't go back. The only path left is for us to get to Wave. In the meantime, Anko and I will be using our summons to try and get a message back to the Hokage. Tsunade hated this. Not knowing what the other nin were or where they were was going to make this harder. You need to tell us what you know of the forces we'll be facing, no holding back this time. She then looked at Mika. You got what you could from the Demon Brothers, I need you to write it down. Micah licked his lips and nodded. Naruto, I want shadow clones in a 5-star formation patrol. The blonde nodded and walked several feet away to create the guards. Sakura, I need you to go over the weapons and gear that Micah and Anko S from the Demon Brothers. Do your best to identify it. Careful, a lot of the weapons are covered with a poison. Micah warned. Sakura nodded in thanks. Hinata, I'll need your help getting Tazuna here sober, and then we'll need to prepare some soldier pills to distribute amongst us. We're going to be moving fast and all night now. Hinata nodded. Anko, get as many summons as you can, give them messages to pass on to the Hokage. Anko nodded. Tsunade looked at Tazuna. You're not going to enjoy the next 10 minutes. The pleas followed by screams were then followed by the sound of someone retching filled the clearing. The genin ignored it as they went about their tasks. XX. Anko sighed as she returned to the clearing. She could hear the faint sound of the client sobbing as she sat next to Micah. So Doc, what did they do to him? Micah looked up from his notepad and blinked. He looked to where Tazuna was shivering and retching. They used a purge to burn the alcohol from his system. Since he's a civilian, he's having a rough time of it. You mean you could deal with a ninja's hangover? Anko asked, wondering why she'd never heard of it. Bar-chan created it. It's not like it is on Tazuna since you use chakra to burn the alcohol in the system. Anko blinked. And she's never made it available, why? Micah shrugged. She taught me, Sakura, Hinata, Shizune and Rin. I think she taught Mom as well. Why she never gave it to the hospital, they weren't interested. Doctors, what morons. Micah nodded. Bar-chan's planning on overhauling the hospital more. Too many civilians are running it right now, and there are those connected to clans who put their clan first. And what do you think? I agree. It's a ninja hospital, civilians have no place running it. Anko nodded. She hated how the civilians were in every branch of the ninja profession. You did good earlier, she said. Micah swallowed. I never knew interrogation could go like that. Anko nodded. I can say I'm proud as a teacher. You did better than a hardened veteran. I've seen men lose their lunch, you waited until we were totally finished. Micah nodded. I've done surgery before, it helped me focus. But I don't think I could teach people for a living. Anko patted him on the shoulder. Use this as a learning experience. I never really got a chance growing up. My traitor of a sensei hardened me and had me become a weapon, or interrogator with his methods of training. It's one of the reasons I'm glad Lady Tsunade has given me her trust to work with you for. No one else would have. Micah nudged Anko with his shoulder. I trust you, sensei. Even though I think you're psychotic, I trust you. Anko smirked and grabbed him in a headlock and gave him a noogie. You're okay in my book as well, kiddo. XX. Bar-chan. Tsunade looked from the client towards Naruto. I've got a perimeter around us 5 clones per star point. Thank you, Naruto, she said. Naruto wrinkled his nose. Gah. Standing downwind of that is nasty. Tsunade smirked. Micah has the same problem. He has to use chakra to block his nose while in surgery. Naruto's eyes looked for Hinata and found her standing behind Tazuna with a glowing hand against his lower back. What exactly are we to do? Naruto asked. Tsunade sighed. She felt like that's all she did since becoming responsible for a team. We'll get to Wave and entrench there. I doubt Sarutobi has a spare squad to send right now, so we'll need to be careful. Naruto nodded and realized he was going to be the safety measure for his team. I'm the assault member for the team. Tsunade nodded sadly. What the pervert and Kakashi taught you will be important on keeping this team alive. You and Anko are the assault. This is the drawback with a team of medics. Granted, your brother and Hinata are both hitters as well, but they are support. Naruto swallowed and nodded as it was setting in what his task would be on this team. His eyes sought out his brother and saw him being abused by Anko and chuckled. She's just a big kid at heart. You 4 have been good for her. Tsunade said, watching the Genin and Jonin rough house. You can help Sakura with the weapons, remember. They have poison, I heard. I'll store them in a scroll for disposal. Tsunade watched him go and fought the urge to sigh. I need a drink, she thought sadly. Boat. Naruto and Micah were the first out of the small boat. They helped Hinata, Sakura and Tsunade over. Anko leapt into the water herself and splashed to the shore. They heaved Tazuna to the shore and looked at Tsunade. They had been lucky to get this far without any further encounters. Sunad looked at the mist-covered shore. She didn't like it. It brought back bad memories of the day she lost Dan. Which way? She asked Tazuna. The bridge builder had been very quiet since his forced purge, only speaking when spoken to. That way, Tazuna said. We go the other way. Sunad said. What? Why? The bridge builder asked. Because the way to your house is being watched. Naruto said. You're being hunted, so we need to do the opposite of what they think you would do. Unless they know that we're smarter than that and might have. Sunad sighed. Don't the two of you dare start that they know we know crap. Naruto and Micah shared grins while the girls rolled their eyes. They had borne witness to one of those discussions and Sakura had tried to follow it, but after 10 minutes her head hurt. Micah, Naruto carry the client. We're moving fast. Sunad ordered and once more they took to the trees. XX. Anko was bringing up the rear and whistled. They stopped. We've got someone, perhaps two someone's coming up fast. They realized we're not going straight in. Sunad nodded and pulled out the map of the island. We'll cut through here. That's the ship graveyard, Tazuna said in shock. Yes, we'll set a trap here. Boys. They both created a dozen clones and they rushed off ahead of the group to prepare for the traps already forming in the boys' minds. Sunad knew that between the two of them the boys could do nearly anything. The Konoha-wide prank war they had against Kakashi and Obito when they were still in the academy had been something to see, and many poor Anbu were still undergoing psyche evaluations from being caught in the crossfire. Hinata, see anything? She asked. The Hyuga activated her Byakugan and paused. The mist is moving with those following us, sensei. Sunad cursed. The mist isn't natural then. Sakura, replace Micah, I need his help. Anko, keep them going. The snake Jonin sent the others ahead and after a look from Sunad the special Jonin nodded and leapt away while Micah landed next to his godmother. You have any of your homemade traps with you? She asked. Micah nodded and pulled out a scroll. Never know when Naruto and I are going to get in the mood to prank one another. He said with a sheepish grin. Set up, you have 2 minutes. Sunad ordered keeping watch while Micah set up several traps and hiding tags. The ones that impressed her are the proximity seals. Jiraiya really taught him a lot of his tricks. She thought as Micah finished and they leapt away, they got 20 yards and hid. Sunad used hand signs. Be ready. Micah nodded and she watched as he pulled out a kunai. They didn't have to wait long. The ones pursuing her team weren't even looking for traps. The first figure carrying a huge sword passed a seal and was rocketed backwards by the exploding tag. Watch out. Traps. He managed to yell before he hit the tree where he triggered another trap and Suan saw it was a glue bomb. She raised an eyebrow as the man was caught in a very sticky web of industrial glue. A figure landed further back and Sunad made a hand gesture and Micah launched a kunai. The figure leapt and got close to another of Micah's proximity seals, triggering several explosions that the masked figure managed to avoid. Sadly, it brought the masked nin straight in towards Sunad, who drew back her fist and launched a straight punch. It sent the masked nin rocketing through a tree and Micah winced. He looked at the glue trap. Bar-chan, he got away. She looked to see tatters from clothes and sighed. We better hurry. Grab the nin and cuff, M. We'll need to be there for Anko and the others. Micah dropped next to the unconscious nin and saw that the mask was shattered. He seed his head to the side. Pretty, he thought as he bound the fingers like Kakashi had taught him and then the arms and legs. Hoisting the nin over his shoulder in a fireman's carry, he leapt after his godmother. XX. Anko was amazed when the clones led her and the others through the traps they had already assembled. She'd heard about the prank war, but if this was even a glimmer she had a whole new set of plans for the team. Hinata, report. She ordered once they were situated. Sakura was with Tazuna in a camouflage blind that the clones had set up. Naruto and the clones were setting up more surprises as they spoke. The mist is coming this way, there is one figure just entering my range. She said. Naruto, pack it up. Anko ordered. She along with Naruto and Hinata used the hull of a boat to hide behind. They looked through the missing planks. I can't believe they got past Bar-chan and Micah. Naruto said. Shush. Anko said. Hinata was looking and sighed. One target inbound, favoring his leg. Naruto grinned. He smirked as the target entered the first zone and the tags exploded. He's still coming. Clones are going in. Naruto said, and Anko watched as the Mika and Naruto clones moved into attack. The swordsman snarled and went on the attack, swinging that huge cleaver sword. Anko cursed. I know that figure. He's in the bingo book. She said. Keep him occupied, she said, and shunshined. Naruto generated more clones to replace the damaged ones. Come on, sensei, do whatever it is you're going to do, he's getting close to the next zone. XX. Anko appeared above and watched as the clones Naruto sent in were doing the job, wearing down the nin. Damn, the kid has some bangin' training if he can hold off Zabuza Momoki. Anko thought. I really need to see what they learned over the years. I think the little SS have been holding back. She saw Naruto's clones drive Zabuza back at the cost of 6 of them, but Zabuza got close enough to one of the proximity seals and the tags around him exploded. Anko winced as the clones vanished, but Zabuza was looking like he was going through the meat grinder. Ah, you little bastards. Anko watched as Zabuza, despite the injuries, went on as if he wasn't hurt and tore into the remaining clones with that sword. Naruto sent out another dozen clones. Anko watched and saw Zabuza use a water jutsu. Water style, water dragon jutsu. Anko watched as the dragon formed and lashed out, obliterating the clones, and it said the cover Naruto and Hinata were using. She watched the two genin dive aside. Found you. Zabuza snarled and he lifted his cleaver to attack the pair. Hinata lunged at the same time. Naruto brought up a pair of kunai and blocked Zabuza's sword while Hinata hit Zabuza with a Juken strike to the solar plexus. He made a grunt and staggered back. Anko attacked. Senea Tajashu. She roared and Zabuza looked up too late as Anko's hidden shadow many snake hand jutsu struck him, injecting him with venom. Zabuza wasn't done as he spun and his sword cleaved through the snakes. Anko landed between him and her genin. Zabuza Momoki, demon of the bloody mist. Anko said, a pair of wicked knives in her hands. A rank missing nin. Zabuza coughed and staggered back. Yeah, you don't have much time. I, cough, can't believe, cough, cough, that I was taken out by, cough, hacked by a couple of brats. Anko smirked. Not just any brats, the best there is. I am surprised you got past Lady Tsunade and Mika, however. She said. Zabuza coughed and his face wrap darkened with blood. Chick with big knockers. He hacked some more. Yeah, Anko said. She took out Haku with one hit. Zabuza went to one knee. Didn't see the other brat, but if, cough, cough, he did the traps, he did good. Naruto smirked, staying where he was with Hinata in attack position should Zabuza fight off the poison in his veins somehow. They looked to see Tsunade land near Anko and Mika several feet back carrying a bound nin. You didn't K her? Zabuza asked. No, Tsunade said. Take care of her, she's innocent. He slumped forward. He took 6 hits of poison, talk about tough. Anko said. Mika looked at his brother. You know what this means. Naruto grinned as well. We kicked ass. Hell yeah. Tsunade shook her head. They were doing well. She had to admit they were trained, and she sighed as what was yet to come. Get the client. We have to get him home yet. Anko, you have burial detail. You want me to get the head for the bounty? The snake Jonin asked. Yes. Seal it and the sword in a scroll. It'll be split between you 3. No. Naruto and Hinata said. They shared a look. Let Anko sensei have it, she had the king blow. Hinata said after what seemed to be a silent conversation between her and Naruto. It's scary how well they communicate with one another. Tsunade thought. Sakura came out of hiding and waved. Now we just need to keep the client safe still and let him build his bridge. What I wouldn't give for a bottle of sake. Tsunade thought as she and her students left with the client and the prisoner in tow. Anko looked at the body of Zabuza and wondered what else was going to happen on this mission. 3 bounties already, and the mission isn't a week old. She got to work and prepared to destroy the body after removing the head. She started to wonder if the students have been holding back to humor her. Something to think about, she thought. That will be all for this video. Be sure to like, subscribe, share, and comment down below for more videos. Goodbye.